going to be watching When Public Art Goes Wrong. As you guys know or do not know, I have been in school for some time and then I left. I went to college. I had an art minor. So I would like to yap a little bit about this. Let's see what's going on with the pubic art.
Public art is a tricky thing to get right. Unlike art in a museum, which people deliberately pay to see, public art is often not deliberately paid for by the public and is usually constructed in high traffic areas where you're gonna see it every day on your way to work.
And as a taxpayer, I hate that.
So if you're an artist being commissioned to make a public piece of art, you'd better get it right or else the entire city's gonna hate you and random people on the internet with no artistic abilities at all are gonna make fun of your life's work. So without further ado, here are 10 public art installations that went horribly wrong.
Oh, let's go!
Number 10, traveling light.
Okay.
Our journey begins in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where just off an overpass you can find...
Ah, what? It's just a circle? Is it next to the big square?
This big blue thing right here. Designed by the Injizzy Day Art Collective, traveling light is a big blue steel ring with a traffic light stuck on top of it. It measures about 55 feet tall and across and boasts a whopping 2.3 stars on Google reviews.
Dang, people are reviewing the art? I mean, what's the circle for? Are we gonna have giant lions dropping through them? No. I know what would make this cool. What if it was next to an airport and every time an airplane landed, it had to go through the circle?
Yeah, when this thing was first installed, the people of Calgary were not super happy. Not only because the art here is abstract and odd, but mostly because the art here cost $471,000 and
$471,000 for the hungry caterpillar on a diet? Oh, it's next to an airport? See, look, they almost cooked.
taxpayer money and public funding. Calgary's got a tricky history with public art, mostly because of how much money is sunk into it. In fact, they even have legislation that requires any public construction project under $50 million to set aside 1% of its budget to public art, leading to a bit of a surplus of controversial sculptures popping up around the city.
That looks horrible. That's some pickup sticks-ass sculpture.
Traveling light in particular was so controversial, even the mayor called it awful, as the art was approved right before he could enter office. Eventually, the people had had enough of this madness, and the government officials spoke up about the absurdness of the big blue ring.
Good!
And in 2023, the city council hosted an emergency meeting where they approved the construction of a second
No! What? No shot. They made the circle that shows you the scary thing on thumbnails and videos? Why?
traveling light ring. It's to be placed somewhere else in the city, but to my knowledge, it has yet to actually be funded. So, I mean, well, we'll just have to wait and see. And in the meantime, just thank goodness that most of us don't live in Calgary. Number 9,
Canada L.
Morning Sun.
Is that a ball sack?
We're traveling down south to the wealthy city of Carmel, Indiana, where in the middle of a roundabout you can find whatever this is supposed to be.
Why I got hairy balls next to my morning wood? What is this?
Created by sculptor Brad Howe, Morning Sun is a abstract piece made from steel and urethane resin. It measures 16 feet tall and features a red and white body topped with a interpretive, spiky ball-looking thing. When it was erected in the beginning of 2021, it was compared mostly to a COVID-19 virus. All others saw it as a big, fat, round, hairy, kiwi fruit, of course. Which makes no sense because kiwis aren't even grown in Indiana.
Look, I don't know what it is. Somebody in chat one time told me that they eat kiwis with the skin, and then I did it, and it was all right, but it was kind of like eating carpet. And I'm not sure I want to be eating carpet.
Actually, a kiwi is just what I see. Most people just call the statue Hairy Ball. Costing a modest $209,000, Morning Sun is just one of 17 sculptures that have been built in Carmel roundabouts, together costing over $5 million in taxpayer dollars.
$5 million. We could have had 24-hour Walmarts again.
But despite the high price tags, none of these sculptures really faced any backlash.
How?
Besides this one, not only was it expensive,
it's not getting backlash because it's giving back shots. Look at that thing.
expensive and not super appealing to most, but it was constructed right outside of a brand new luxury apartment complex.
What?
In fact, a close friend of mine actually lived in one of these street view units at the time it was constructed, and it had a perfect view of the sculpture. Here you're seeing some of my own boots on the ground coverage.
Nice.
Facing scrutiny, it was debated whether the sculpture should stay or
You know, personally, I would say facing scrutiny.
or not. And in late 2022, at the cost of an additional $50,000, the sculpture was eventually moved to a different roundabout 2 miles north, where it sits closer to 2 roundabouts that also feature some of Brad Howe's sculptures.
He just really likes shapes.
Number 8, Talus Dome. We're moving back to Alberta, Canada, this time to the city of Edmonton. And what better place to put a $600,000
What?
public art piece than the side of a busy highway?
They look like the little balls you would put next to each other. They go that you got from like the Scholastic Book Fair.
Built by Ball Noga's studio in 2011, Talus Dome is a welded pile of nearly 1,000 stainless steel spheres. This sculpture has been
Dang.
mocked constantly throughout its 14-year existence. It's of course scrutinized for its expensive construction cost, but also for the fact that no one seems to know what it's supposed to be. Some people think it's a stack of marbles, while others see
Orbeez.
a giant pile of rabbit droppings that have been spray painted, as if everything in Edmonton needs to be chrome. In reality, Talus Dome derives its name from talus slopes, which are a geological formation. They are these piles of eroded rock that used to exist in the same spot as the sculpture before the highway was constructed here. It's surprising that the
Okay.
sculpture itself hasn't been eroded away by vandals, because it has been vandalized on 3 separate
And they put the yellow paint on there. I meant green. I am not colorblind.
occasions so far with varying degrees of damage, but probably the best story surrounding the Talus Dome occurred in 2023 when a full-grown 26-year-old man tried to climb the Talus Dome, slipped in between the spheres, and became trapped inside.
What?
Dude is
It consumed him. Do not mess with the balls.
stuck inside the Talus balls. Look at this.
It's gotta be a fate worse than death, being stuck in the balls like that one scene from The Incredibles. But luckily, the
forgot about
fire
that.
department was called and the man was saved. And promptly fined $5,000 in criminal negligence charges, in addition to the cost to repair the sculpture from the
How about we charge the man who made this sculpture $5,000 for making me look at it?
damage caused by the rescue. And I have a feeling that that wasn't cheap either. Number 7, Tilted Arc. We're ping-ponging back to the States, this time to New York City, and the
New
year
York.
of 1981, when this massive sculpture was constructed right in the middle of the busy Foley Federal Plaza. Created
Why? Why did we put a giant wall blocking the view? This is a Sims wall that they couldn't figure out how to take down. This is artistic rage baiting.
by artist Richard Serra, Tilted Arc at first looks like a giant sheet of rust-covered steel. And that's exactly what it is. This somewhat inconveniently placed sculpture measured 12 feet tall and 2.5 inches thick.
Music.
You're probably wondering how I got here. Rachel.
And 120 feet long, which made it long enough to cause a lot of outrage among pedestrians. With a construction cost of $175,000,
What?
about $600,000 in today's money, the Tilted Arc was seen as an expensive eyesore and a massive inconvenience to the large plaza. Locals claimed the sculpture made the plaza feel much more cold and closed off than it used to.
Yeah, that's horrible.
It supposedly made the location feel less social and heavily impeded foot traffic, as people had to make their long way around it to navigate across the plaza.
Is there nobody who votes on these? Like, not one guy said this is a horrible idea.
Many discussions were had and trials were held, with folks lobbying to have the sculpture removed.
Yeah.
However, Richard Serra, along with many art lovers, all shamed those who wanted to take it down.
Oh, come on. So pretentious. They're probably the same people who go, you know what, that red painting that's on the wall? Just a red square? Beautiful.
They particularly shamed the government, as it was
What?
the government who commissioned Serra to build the Ark in the first place, and the Ark was promised to be a permanent display. And because it was so large and heavy, to remove it would mean destroying it.
Well, good. the raid, Memphis.
It was eventually ruled that because the art was funded by the government, it was thus owned by the government, and it was the government's decision to destroy it 8 years after its construction. Yes, to the joy of many, but to the dismay of many others, including Richard Serra. And although Serra just recently passed away in
Aw, rest in
2024,
peace.
many of his works and sculptures still exist. Many very similar to, but much less controversial than his tilted arc.
I'm tilted. Towers dropping now.
Number 6. The
I love
Embrace.
it.
We're staying on the East Coast, but moving to Boston, Massachusetts, where in 2023, this massive bronze sculpture was erected in the Boston Commons. The sculpture depicts the hugging arms of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and his wife, Coretta Scott King.
That's
It is
what
based
that
off of
is?
this famous photo of Dr. King shortly after receiving the Nobel Peace Prize. The statue measures 25 feet wide and 20 feet tall, and is meant to be a monument to Dr. King's legacy as a leader in the civil rights movement. So, what seems to be the problem here? The sculpture doesn't seem controversial, and although it cost about $10 million,
10 million. People just be throwing around money. I could make this for maybe $2. Well, not $2. 2 million. 200,000 maybe.
to build, it was largely funded through a non-profit organization, not
10
through the
million's
government.
crazy.
Well, the thing is, when you actually view the sculpture from the ground in the round, it's not really easy to tell what it is.
Yeah.
In fact, because the sculpture features no faces or obvious hints as to what it's supposed to represent, many people who saw the sculpture for the first time saw a variety of different things from
Like looking at
different
clouds.
angles.
It's not the missing heads that's the atrocity, although people glam onto that. It's a stump that looks like a penis.
He said it, not me. I mean, I kind of see it. It even got a head right there.
Yes, from many angles, the sculpture looks rather phallic, especially from this one. The controversy behind the sculpture spread around the world, with many harsh comments directed towards the city for approving such an interpretive, abstract-ish piece of art. And the artist himself, Hank Willis Thomas, gained quite a bit of scrutiny, but luckily he didn't seem too bothered and put down by the harsh comments.
When you put art in the world, you can't control what people see. You know, I think about the Rorschach test, the inkblot test, you know.
It looks fine
Nowadays,
from
the
there.
sculpture isn't too much of a problem, as most people know what it's supposed to be by this point,
Yeah.
and most people can appreciate what it represents.
Yeah.
But it is still common for some first-time passerbys to get a little confused at what they're looking at.
It's looking at me.
Number 5, the Caja Madrid obelisk.
Whoa.
And we're finally escaping North America to Madrid, Spain, where in this big honkin' roundabout, you can find a big honkin' bronze spike.
Like they built that in Minecraft so they know how to get home.
Built in 2009 and designed by architect Santiago Calatrava, this structure was supposed to be a grand landmark of Madrid dedicated to the city's 300th anniversary. The tall spike is clad in 462 bronze strips that move and flow, giving the sculpture a very organic look. The controversy behind this piece actually doesn't come from its appearance, but rather its conception. In the original plans, the spike was supposed to reach a height of 120 meters, but the land it sits on is undermined by 3 major metro lines.
Okay.
This meant the ground was much too hollow to support the massive weight of a 120-meter bronze spike,
It's
so
too
they had to
fat.
shrink the project down to only 92 meters. The project also was not very cheap, costing an estimated 14 million euros to build, which was
Almost $19 million. Obelisk tormenting my wallet.
much more than what was anticipated even before the project was shrunk. Luckily to the taxpayers of Madrid, the obelisk was a donation to the city by a large bank firm. Unluckily for the taxpayers, once the
Imagine this. This is how we get the taxpayers on our side. Put a giant slide on it that goes all the way around, and you can pay $3 to go all the way to the top and slide all the way down.
construction cost was initially increased, the bank requested the city to donate a large lump sum of cash to help support the construction of the city's own gift. Luckily for the
Can you imagine someone coming to your birthday party and being like, hey, I was gonna get you a present, but can I borrow 20 bucks? I was a little broker than I thought.
Taxpayers of the city was able to refuse this request, and the bank was able to cough up enough money to finish their own project. Unluckily for the city,
Cute logo.
once it was finished and the sculpture was powered on, the cost to maintain the heavy hydraulic system that moved all the bronze ribbons went on to exceed 6,000 euros per day. This money
Every
was all
day?
coming.
This could feed people. This could actually help with housing. Holy shit, for just a little guy in the middle of the plaza that goes, he just wiggles around. Holy shit!
From taxpayer dollars, and after only 1 month of operation, the hydraulics were turned off and the sculpture has remained still ever since.
What? It doesn't even move?
Contrary to the
That was the cool part. Now it's just a spear for like kaiju attacks.
obelisk's initial goal of being a major landmark for Spain, meant to even match the significance of the likes of Paris's Eiffel Tower, the
Okay, well, let's
Madrid
not get too
obelisk
crazy.
now just kind of stands as a landmark for horrible city planning.
It's a giant straw for Godzilla to drink out of his big gulp.
Number 4, the orbit. This one's a little less easy to draw.
Whoa.
We're taking a short flight from Madrid to London, where it's pretty hard to miss this massive twisted steel sculpture.
What? This is a roller coaster tycoon disaster. And you wonder why nobody wants to ride it.
Costing a whopping 24 million British pounds, this project was built and luckily largely privately funded by the ArcelorMittal.
Somebody in chat said, oh, I forgot we had that. You spent 24 million on something that people in your town don't even know exists.
Steel manufacturer. The orbit was originally constructed for the 2012 Summer Olympic Games and was to serve as a permanent monument to the event. The sculpture measures 115 meters tall and is comprised largely of red tubular steel that
Put a roller coaster on it. Then people basically pay for the sculpture because they want to ride the roller coaster. The end. Make everything functional. Functional art.
twists and winds all around a central trunk. Unlike most art, this sculpture is not just for show, as in the central trunk is an elevator that takes visitors up to a large
Okay, look,
observation
there we
deck.
go.
You can also get your steps in by taking the massive spiral staircase that
Oh, hell
winds
no.
around the central trunk. The orbit was designed by artist Unhinged Kapoor, who's most famous for his Cloudgate sculpture in Chicago.
I like the bean. Isn't it so cute? Look at it. It just makes me want to smile and maybe like lick it.
Kapoor is known for making very abstract art, and because the orbit was no exception, when it was finally unveiled to the world, most people were a bit confused as to what it was supposed to be.
Is it meant to be like a torch or something? I don't even know what it meant to be. It looks weird.
It's such an eyesore. It's so ugly.
Some people saw a giant mutilated roller coaster, while
That's what I
others thought
said.
it looked like an abstract Olympic torch. But most people just had no idea what they were looking at. Some
I think it's like a Dr. Doofenshmirtz laser machine.
locals even thought the structure was still under construction when it was revealed, because they thought it just looked like a bunch of scaffolding. Since the Olympics
didn't
are a
finish
fairly
it?
large and globally televised event, spitballs came flying from critics across the globe, with people pretty disappointed at what they were left to look at. But it was London locals who were most concerned since, as mentioned, this was meant to be a permanent installation to the city.
Jeez.
Moreover, if you wanted to go inside the sculpture up to the observation deck, it cost a whopping £15 to do so.
15 bucks? That's crazy. It's an elevator. Is the bathroom up there $3 to use?
And that's in 2012. Even Anish Kapoor himself was pretty upset to learn how much was being charged.
So for the 3 weeks of the Olympics, the price I think is ridiculously high.
Oh my God, even the artist doesn't want that. And guess what? He gets in trouble. They're going to say that it's his fault. They didn't even ask him. That's evil.
After the Olympics, the orbit stood normal for 4 years until in 2016, the city decided they wanted to add some fun to the sculpture and commissioned another artist to design a
What?
massive
Collab?
178-meter slide.
Yes! Yes, 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 yes! Unbelievably based! Was this not what I was saying earlier? Thank you!
To the tower. Okay, now we're talking.
Thank
This helped the
you!
orbit kind of ascend from the level of a abstract sculpture to a genuine tourist attraction.
Why am I not employed in the public domain?
The slide was met with positive feedback,
Yes!
and today the prices to visit are even lower than they once were when the tower first
Yes!
opened. Now at just
Yes!
£7 to go up into the observation deck and £14 to also go down the slide.
Okay, well now you're greedy.
and a £5 booking fee for every order. Number 3, the vessel.
Ooh.
And that's enough of Europe because we're heading back to New York City, where on the Hudson Yards Public Square in Manhattan, this massive sculpture was constructed and opened in 2019.
What is that?
The vessel was designed by designer Thomas Heatherwick, and like Anish Kapoor's Orbit, the vessel is an interactive sculpture. It is made out of carbon steel, which probably
Wait, it's just stairs? Mom, Dad, when do we get to the ride? This is the ride!
makes it one of the heaviest sculptures on the list. It's also pretty tall, measuring at 150 feet in height, and is comprised of 154 flights of stairs with 80 landings that kind of act as small observation decks.
It looks cool from above, though. Like, that's a cool picture.
Fortunately,
Let's game it out as sculpture.
the vessel was privately
That's how you get to the bathroom.
funded by a large real estate developer because the final construction cost was estimated to be between 150 to 200 million.
No. Do people not have brains? $200 million for stairs. What?
Dollars, which makes it the most costly piece of art on our list.
Jesus Christ!
So then what makes the vessel so problematic, and why is privately funded in quotation marks?
I don't know. Here's my guess on why it's problematic. Maybe people go to the top and they drop pennies and then somebody died.
Well, when it was first constructed, Hudson Yards, where the sculpture sits, claimed all ownership of any photos taken of the sculpture. This did not go over very well with the public, mainly because this claim is ridiculous and almost impossible to enforce, but also because at the time the vessel was constructed, nearly $4.5 billion in taxpayer money had been sunken into the Hudson Yards area. And who is one of the main real estate developers in Hudson Yards? The same developer that paid for the construction of
Oh my God. This was a tax write-off?
the vessel. Ooh, yeah, so this was not a very good look for the developer or the Hudson Yards as a location, and they promptly retracted their strict photo policy. Aside from this hubbub, the actual appearance of the piece was also a little controversial.
Looks like a
Some
pine cone.
criticized the piece for being a useless staircase to nowhere, and many think it just looks like a giant shawarma.
Oh,
The vessel has also
I'm
been slated
hungry.
as not being very wheelchair accessible. In fact, most staircases aren't, according to my research. Although it does feature a single
wrong for
glass
that.
elevator that can take guests up to the top observation deck, it's a pretty slow and low capacity ride for an area as busy as New York City. And if you want to go to the top level of the structure today, you can't because it is closed off to the public. Why?
What?
Well, that's why.
That's what I was trying to say, but now with the penny, people are just jumping off. Oh my God.
Just 18 months of opening, 3 people had taken their own lives by leaping over the glass barriers surrounding the staircase of the vessel. This forced the closure of the structure until a solution to the problem was found and put in place in the form of a net that surrounds all accessible areas.
Holy crap.
The top level remained closed, as netting could not be put around the whole area. This netting proved not to be a very effective solution, as when the vessel was reopened, a 14-year-old boy managed to bypass the safety nets and another life was lost. After this, the vessel remained closed for over 3 years until it was finally reopened in October of 2024 with much taller steel mesh nets now in place to make further incidents hopefully impossible.
Holy crap.
I don't know why my videos always take a dark turn around the number 3 mark, but
Do it around 4. The number 4 has bad aura.
we're done with number 3, so let's move on. Number 2, the portal.
Oh no, was this the one where the lady took her pitties out and went like this? We've all seen it. We've all seen it, and she had nice booba. Be for real.
Now this one's a
They
sort
were
of
good.
two-parter, with point A conveniently in New York City and point B across the globe in Dublin, Ireland. Created by artist Benedictus Guise, the portal is basically a giant public webcam that displays live feeds between 2 city streets and allows people to interact with each other from across the world. One side
What a cool idea, though, but humanity exists.
of the portal was placed on a busy pedestrian street in Manhattan, and the other in a comparative spot in central Dublin.
Pretty
The
cool.
New York to Dublin portal was actually a successor to an already existing portal that the artist had already built, connecting the cities of Vilnius, Lithuania, and Lublin, Poland.
Aww.
So if the first portal worked so well, then what could go wrong with a portal between New York City and Dublin?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe because it's in America?
Now, passerbys in both countries actually loved their new art installation and begun sharing their love for each other through the portal. But of course, before very much time, there were a few whippersnappers that stepped in and just had to ruin the fun for everyone.
Oh, I know.
Both sides of the portal had people
When did they add a moon to this?
exposing themselves to the poor, unsuspecting souls across the world. You had everything from an
Are you
OnlyFans
serious?
model exposing herself to Dubliners flashing photos of 9/11 to New York. You know, just the expected stuff. And as a result of all this, the portal did not even make it 1 week until it had to be shut down. It was turned off for just 6 days, and in that time, a fence barrier was installed around the portals, and new technology was implemented that would cause the camera feed to blur if someone got too close. This
That
prevented
looked
more
bad.
people from showing offensive photos from their phones. The portal still actually exists today, but not as such. The Dublin installation still exists, but the New York side was moved to Philadelphia.
They got banned. He banned all of New York.
Just 3 months after it was turned back on. The portals still operate and have
But I'm
even had another
confused. Isn't Philly kind of crazy too? Like that was their best idea to move it to Philadelphia?
installation pop up in Piauí, Brazil. This makes 5 portals in total that still stand strong despite their occasional and unfortunate abuse. Number 1, the tree.
This is what I was
Our
telling you
artistic
guys
journey
about.
comes to an end in Paris, France, where in October of 2014, for a brief time, if you were lucky, you could have been walking around the streets of Paris and could have seen this.
Oh my god, who did they install that for? After Godzilla's drinking out of his big gulp, he's gonna come take it up the butt?
It is a giant 24-meter tall inflatable structure that is supposed to look like a giant
Nah, someone in chat said they made it for your mom.
Christmas tree. And boy, does it look like a Christmas tree and absolutely nothing else. Just
No,
giving
that
that
is
tree
not
at
a
Rockefeller
Christmas
Center
tree.
a run for its money. But
That is not a Christmas tree. That's for ho-ho-hos.
apparently, most of the public did see something else other than a Christmas tree. I can't imagine
Yeah.
what. And criticism came flying right away. In fact, the backlash for this piece was so swift that as it was being installed and publicly inflated for the first time, the tree
It's not enough that it's a giant plug. Now we got public inflation. Whose idea was this?
His artist, Paul McCarthy, was brutally attacked and beaten by a
What?
passerby. Paul McCarthy was already known for creating controversial pieces in the Christmas spirit, most notably this one. Just
What is this? He just do a little trolling.
keep using your imagination as to why this one is controversial
That's
as
funny.
well. Once the installation was complete, photos of the phallic inflatable spread like wildfire, and many were pretty furious that this now stood as a massive, unavoidable landmark in the city. It only took about a week until a group of vandals was bold enough to take
Oh,
action
no.
and destroyed the entire massive sculpture by hand, which just consisted of cutting power to the blowers that kept the thing inflated.
Yeah, that seemed pretty difficult. Nobody was watching at all? Barry's tree. That is not my tree.
The tree by hand, which just consisted of cutting power to the blowers that kept the thing inflated. The tree could have been easily re-inflated so as to actually make it to Christmas, but Paul McCarthy himself actually decided against it, and it was
Aw.
permanently removed
He was
from the streets of
scared.
Paris. So in the end, most of the city and the world hated the sculpture. Not everyone. Some people wanted it to stay,
I like him. I like him.
but most people hated it, and it was quickly removed with consent from the artist. So did anything good come of the tree? Well, a couple local specialty shops did see a massive increase in sales of one particular item, what are they called?
It was good for the economy. Come on. He was doing so much good.
Oh yeah, so there's my list here. If I sound a little different, it's because I've contracted the flu whilst editing this video.
Me too.
Well, that's
Dude, would it be bad if the thumbnail I made for this video was me bending over and then that was right behind me? I get in trouble.
Besides the point, there are hundreds and possibly thousands of other controversial art pieces out there in the world, and if you want to learn about more, I suggest you watch this video from Building Tales here on YouTube. You should watch it not only because he covers the Santa Claus sculpture here in more detail, but also because he covers a bunch of other stuff we did not look
Oh my god, that's that mother sucker from Adventure Time!
at, and also you should watch it because he uploaded this video when I was in the middle of making mine,
Oh.
and now I feel like a content thief, so
Me too.
go watch it.
Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I super appreciate it. Please check out the original. This was a great video. I love that we've been getting a little educational up in here. BerryCrepe out. And also use code Berry at check out for 10% off your gamer subs order. And then also if you're feeling really lucky, go check out the gamer channel. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Goodbye, YouTube.